Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. We're doing another Star Frontiers video, and this time we're inside the bank vaults of the Streel Corporation. And I want to talk about money, the money used in Star Frontiers. Oh, wait a minute. First of all, I think one of the security robots is coming by. Okay, I think we're safe. Okay, yeah, we're allowed here. The Streel Corporation said, yeah, he can totally film in our bank. No problem. Anyway. So, yeah, my main question for myself when I was running my campaign is something that probably a lot of games have to contend with, and that is, how much is the local legal currency worth? Like, to be honest, just how much is a credit worth? It doesn't really say anywhere, and I was trying to wrap my head around it early on in my campaign, because it would be like situations would come up where the characters want to buy something that's not in the rule book. I'll be like, well, if I knew how much a credit was worth, I could easily do the conversion. And I didn't really have any kind of a framework, because I know you could buy weapons and stuff, but being in Canada, it's not like I could compare that to, well, what's it like down at our local gun shop? We don't have such things here. So I was trying to wrap my head around this, like, how much is this thing actually worth? And I actually, ironically, managed to come up with what I thought was a good number through weapons. Little bit going into another role-playing game here, but as you may know, I have a sword because I'm a big D&D fan. And this sword I actually bought in a sort of an antique decoration. I mean, it's strictly for sort of hanging on a wall. You don't really do anything with it. It's way too loose. I've talked about my sword before. But I bought this thing, and I think it was in the realm of like 80 bucks Canadian, and that is 1980 dollars we're talking. And when I looked in the Star Frontiers rulebook, the closest I could come to some equivalent was a sword. For some reason, in the Star Frontiers rulebook, it lists the damage of a sword, not an electric sword, not a sonic sword, not the high-tech space age ones. I'm talking proper old medieval sword. They had them in there, and they also had a price tag beside them. It was weird. 30 credits. So I thought, right, 30 credits for a sword in Star Frontiers, roughly $90 for a sword in Canada. I mean, that's not a good exchange, but whatever. This is not a real sword. It doesn't do any damage, but it's the only thing. It's the only touchstone I've got. That means a credit must be worth about $3. And that was what I used as kind of my rate of conversion for everything we would do. If characters were like, oh, I don't know, we need to buy a passage on a ferry boat to get to the island that has the thing. I'd be like, ooh, well, here to get on a ferry boat is, I'd have to quickly look that up, but let's say it was back in those days, 20 bucks. Then I'd go like, right, well, just divide it by 3, it's 7 credits. And that seemed about right. That would actually work. And that was sort of what I used throughout. Now, over the years, I've discovered, not really true. That's not a good conversion rate at all, because I would start to run into things in the rulebook that were like, if you multiply this by 3, that's a lot of money. Like, an automatic pistol was 150 credits or 200 credits, depending on different generations of the rules. I think Zebulon's Guide might be a little different. Or an automatic rifle, and I'd be like, well, that's 300 credits? We're talking $1,000? But again, here in Canada, yeah, that's not an unrealistic price tag. I think that might actually work. Okay, yeah, multiply it by 3. And I kind of want to throw it out there for you. How much in your campaign is a credit worth? Especially those of you who do not live in the United States. Now, I have, in the interim time, I think I eventually ran into a lot of hiccups with my 1 credit equals $3 Canadian exchange rate. Because there were things that would come up and I'd be like, that just doesn't sit right with me. It shouldn't be 3 times. This doesn't seem, like things would come up in modules. And I'd be like, no. Are you telling me that, and again, I can't think of a good example, but like, I don't know, a prog, what was the prog thing that you plugged into a computer for the, I should have looked this up. Anyway, the equivalent of a computer disk or a CD-ROM of, this is before the days of CD-ROMs. I was sitting there going like, that's 5 credits, whatever the price is actually, well, that's $15 for one of those things? No. There are trivial purchases in the rule books that are, if you multiply them by 3, these are no longer trivial purchases. So I thought, this is not right. My exchange rate is not right. And I think eventually I paired it off to be equal to the Canadian dollar, roughly, ballpark figure. I notice, actually, I was probably right to do so, because if I go on to the Grand Theft Auto Wikipedia forums and I look up ammunition, their price tags for their gun shops where you can go in and buy an automatic pistol, automatic rifle, they're about $150, $200, maybe $300 for a rifle. And it's like, oh, that's how much they are in Star Frontier. So it is actually on par with an American dollar, which I think is pretty fair. And I'd like to ask, is that what you run yours at? Like if your players are suddenly like, hey, I need to, I don't know, buy a book, or I need to, let's go to the movies, or I splurge, I want to impress this this dressed businessman, so I'll pay for dinner. How much is the bill? And then what do you work that out into in credits? What do you do? I'm curious. I don't really know. And combining with that, I'd also like to ask, what did you do about smaller currencies, like denominations of credits? Because there would be situations, now this is a little bit old school, so apologies for the younger viewers, but there used to be these things called pay phones, where you would put in a coin and it would make you you'd be able to make a phone call with it. What did the players put into the payphone? Or okay, let's come up with a more equivalent example of today. I was going to use stamps, but I guess that's kind of going away too. What did you do if your players wanted to buy a pack of gum, or some very small amount? Let's say they need to use a vending machine. There must be vending machines in your campaign. What do the players stick in there? Is it a credit? I mean, I know that there are. I've been to Vegas a few times, and there are machines that take bills, and you can get the equivalent amount of credit out of that. If it was, say it was in a video game arcade, you stick your dollar in, and then it would come out and say, okay, you can play 4 rounds of Pac-Man, that kind of thing. That exists, but like in your situation where you need to deal with like small denominations, what do you do? For example, the euro has taken over Europe, but let's look at, say, the German Deutschmark back in the day. Back in the 80s when Star Frontiers came out, it also had pfennigs, little things that 100 of them made up 1 Deutschmark. What did you do in that situation? For myself, I took a page out of The Life of Brian. What? I thought to myself, I need a small coin. I need something that 100 of them make up a credit. And I thought, right, we'll have these little coins, and you'll be able to put them into a pay machine or whatever, a situation that requires coinage. Okay, what am I going to call it? And I thought, well, if the main value, or if the main bill, if this is called a credit, I need to come up with something that's sort of similar in mind, or like the idea of a credit. And I thought of a few scenes in The Life of Brian where there's that one where Michael Palin is the leper who tries to get him to give him some money, and he says, can you spare a talent for an old ex-leper? And I was like, a talent? That has a nice ring to it, yeah. And it kind of works along the same lines as a credit. We'll talk about the talent being 100 talents makes up 1 credit. So that's what I did. I had a talent coin, and 100 of them made a credit. And that's what I used for payphones, not that those exist anymore, but vending machines, or any scenario where you gotta pop a coin into something. Any small purchase that's less than $1 value, like a stamp, again, that's old school. I'm curious to hear what you guys did. How did you manage? And for those of you who are in other countries, like I must imagine in a country like Japan or China or Korea where you've got, or even Spain, I guess, if you've got a thing where it's like you buy something for thousands of pesetas, thousands of yen, whatever. Did you have a hard time grappling with the fact that, like, well, a gun is 100 credits or 150 credits? That seems like something I would spend on a pack of gum. Like, how did you wrap your head around this difference in exchange value? It's a kind of a curious thing. Like, when you're coming up with fictional money, how do you handle it? Also, here's a side one. How did you manage people jumping from one part of the frontier to another, they're going to another planetary system, and they need to dip into their savings. Is there some kind of subspace banking system? The Streel Corporation obviously running very well with that. I guess that was happening too. That's what I did. I said, okay, there are two kinds of bank accounts you can have. There's the subspace bank account where you can pull out money anywhere in the frontier. Knowing that subspace radios were the fastest thing of communication of travel, and what is it, like it takes an hour per light year? You're not going to have business transactions. You're not going to be able to put in your bank card and pull out thousands of credits and have it instantly recognize in your home system, oh, he has 1,000 credits in his bank account. So the subspace version has zero interest. It would just allow you to access your cash anywhere in the frontier. Then there was also a non-subspace version where you'd had to be in your star system, but that would accumulate interest. And that was my way of grappling with, I need to get money out of the bank machine, and I'm in a totally different star system. How does that even work? And unfortunately, we don't have anything to really go by for any of this. Like, it's not like Star Trek has no money, sort of. Star Wars had credits, which Han Solo looked like he was loading up buckets of them onto a trolley at the Rebel base on Yavin. So I'm like, so are credits like bars of steel or something? Are they like the stuff in The Mandalorian, Beskar? Or what exactly is the money system in Star Wars? And if Han Solo is loading up buckets of this stuff, does that mean that, like, you can't just go to Tatooine and hit the bank machine, or then you can go to, like, Alderaan and hit the bank machine? I need to come up with answers for that, because my players in Star Frontiers are going to ask me. So that's what I ended up with. I had a subspace bank system that would, I guess, I wouldn't want to be the underwriter for that bank. It's like, we better hope when he cashes, and when he wants to try to withdraw 20,000 credits in Scree Fawn, and his bank is in, like, White Light, we better be like, okay, he better have that money sitting there. I don't know. It's a very curious way to tackle it. There was also a video I watched, just to wrap it up, about Star Frontiers and the financial system, talking in the Nighthawk's rules, how you can actually come up with a loan for getting a spaceship, because a spaceship's a kind of an expensive thing. And the guy, I can't remember the name of his channel, I'll put a link down below for him. He discussed how he tried to handle the bank loan system, and he made a very good point. He was like, at a certain stage, this stops being fun, this stops being sci-fi adventure, this becomes taxing, like literally taxing, and also like filling out my income tax form. I don't want to do it. It was a faltering of the Star Frontiers rules, but what do you got to do? You have to address the fact that somebody wants to walk into, Watto's shipyard and, hey, I want to buy one of your ships and I've got 1,000,000 credits. Well, that'll only get you hull size, like, well, whatever you want, a bigger ship. Well, then you have to get a loan. You really end up in an area of Star Frontiers that's kind of, or science fiction in general. We never really see a show properly address this. So what's the angle that you used as a player, as a referee? Well, I think they're going to kick me out of the bank here, so I do want to wrap it up with one little, maybe two pieces of news. I recently joined a Star Frontiers forum on Facebook. I'll put a link to them down below as well. Star Frontiers Alive and Well. And I also, on there, discovered one of the fellows who's a member just posted a video that there is a Star Frontiers reboot coming. And that's pretty exciting news. It's like, wow, they're rebooting Star Frontiers. It's called Star Frontiers New Genesis. And I have thoughts about that. I think I will save that for my next Star Frontiers video. I want to absorb a bit more news, a bit more information about it. I can't say I'm too wild about it, but we'll see what happens. All right, well, until the next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.